Hello. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about upgrading OpenCRVS, and there's going to be the majority of the video is me actually on a phone call with colleagues in a vendor called Beyond Essential. I'm working with a man called Anil, and I'm working with him to upgrade our OpenCRVS installation in the island of Niue from 1.3.1 to 1.3.2. So it takes quite a long time to do the upgrade. It took all day. So the beginning of the video was a couple of hours of us going through the steps. So I've condensed that as best I can. And then there were a number of other shorter videos which I recorded throughout the day as I deployed and tested, etc. And of course, each deployment takes about 15 minutes to run, so I didn't want you to have to wait and watch that stuff. Unfortunately, the audio quality drops towards the end, so I apologize about that, but hopefully you can get the feeling of what it's like to upgrade a minor version of OpenCRVS where there have not been many breaking changes. In fact, there's not been any breaking changes in this upgrade. So I just want to talk to you a bit about what you should do when you're upgrading a version of OpenCRVS. So first of all, read the release and migration notes and consider breaking changes and any extra work that may be required to pick those changes up. Then you're going to be running OpenCRVS locally, so change OpenCRVS core to the release branch that you want. So the format of those release branches is always written like this. It's release-v, then the release number. Pull the code and run yarn to install yarn dependencies. Create an upgrade branch in your own country config repo based off of whatever active branch you use for development, e.g. develop. Ensure that you have our OpenCRVS country config repo as a remote and pull the release branch from that repo into your upgrade branch, and you'll get a lot of conflicts. So you need to go through the conflicts one by one, fix them, and then run yarn to install new dependencies. And running yarn will also fix any conflicts you experience in the yarn lock file. You don't have to fix those yarn lock conflicts manually. Ensure that your production data is fully backed up and restoring in either a staging or quality assurance environment where you can test your upgrade before you deploy to production. Merge your pull request into your develop, build a Docker image, deploy and test that on that staging or QA environment. So make sure that the upgrade does not negatively affect your application. So you'll have a bunch of sanity tests or regression tests that you will be running depending on your installation. So make sure you run them all. Log into Kibana after you've deployed, and for the first 10 minutes during a deploy, all the migrations will run. And in the observability logs, you can search for tag:/migration, and you can see all the database migrations. And if any have broken or didn't run properly on your data because of something unique to what you've done, then you'll see an error. And you want to make sure that you don't get any errors on data migration. If you do, then you need to debug them. Depending on what you've done in your database, if you have, for example, forked core and done something very custom, this could happen. If you haven't forked core, then this should not happen, and you should not get any errors. The data should migrate successfully. If you do encounter errors in that case, please reach out to us and open an issue. So provided everything has worked, migrations have run, the new upgrade looks good on your test quality assurance environment, then you can publish an official release in your repo. You'll be deploying the upgraded release again to staging and QA just for another test, just to make sure nothing went wrong, before you deploy the upgraded release to your production servers. And once again, once it's in production, log into Kibana in production and check migrations there too. So sometimes there will be breaking changes. If there are breaking changes to infrastructure, so if we have, say, refactored infrastructure, then we recommend that you provision brand new servers with the new release code. You can restore a backup onto the new servers and change your DNS settings to point to those new servers when you want to go live. So there'll be some operational challenges there for you to talk to staff and let them know that there's going to be some downtime. Sometimes there are form changes in our repository. You may not need them at all. It could be just simply related to our fake country configuration. Sometimes it could be related to a bug in perhaps the form code. And so check those form changes, see if you're using the same functions, and see how important they are for you to take. I think in general, you will not need them. Sometimes there are new content keys, so we've provided those content keys in English and French. Of course, if you're not using English or French, then you're going to have to get those content keys translated. So that is generally the process. So as you watch the video, you will see in the video me going through all of the steps. It's like I said, apologies for the sound quality towards the end, but hopefully it will give you a good impression of what upgrading is like. Now, there's one word of warning. Whenever you redeploy a new version of OpenCRVS to a server, we force the user to clear their cache, their browser cache. And you may need to quit Chrome and restart it, or quit the app and restart it to get the upgraded version. Now, if you have staff members who are working offline and they have applications which they have not synced to the database via the outbox, when the cache is cleared, they would lose the in-progress applications. So what you need to do when you're actually deploying to production is to let staff know a few days in advance that they need to have connectivity, they need to sync any offline applications, and while the upgrade is happening, they should not be working offline. So this upgrade should only take a day to do, so they should not be have any kind of major disruption to their working progress. Simply, they shouldn't be working offline when the upgrade is happening. When the upgrade is complete, then you can do an all staff broadcast to say the upgrade is finished. Please carry on. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so I've got 3 terminal windows open. I've got OpenCRVS core open.
Yep.
I've got another window with the same directory because I'll be using this to run some commands. And the country config repository. I've got these 3 repositories open. Sorry, two repositories open. OpenCRVS core and OpenCRVS country config. Now the master branch is aligned to the latest release. Yep. And the latest release is currently 1.4.0. But if we check our repository, we're going to be upgrading from 1.3.1 to 1.3.2. So we need to change the branch to the version that we're going to be upgrading to. So I'm going to check out the 1.3.2 branch. That's how we name the branches, release-v version 1.3.2. So this is the branch we want to be on. You run yarn to make sure you install all the packages in the 2 repositories. So that will just install all the Node.js libraries and make sure they're up to date. So while that's working, let's take a look at the repository. So this is our repository. And you can see the latest release that we've done is 1.3.1. So we're going to upgrade from 1.3.1 to 1.3.2. So if I was to now run yarn dev here and yarn dev here, then OpenCRVS would start up with our fake country configuration repository called Farajaland. And you'd see what 1.3.2 looks like. We're definitely going to be running core. So I'm going to run yarn dev on core. You could check the release notes and see what's changed. And read what's happening, what's different in this release. So it's basically just some bug fixes.
Yep.
There's no breaking changes. So I'm going to go into the new repository now. And I'm on the develop branch. And I'm going to create a new branch to pull in the 1.3.2 changes from the country config repository. So, we've got two repositories. We've got core and we've got a companion country config repository. So I want to pull in the changes here into a new branch on Newey. So if I take a look at the remotes that I have, I can see I've got a remote called Farajaland, which is our fake country, and Origin, which is our Newey repository.
Yep.
Yeah. So I want to be pulling from Farajaland the release 1.3.2 branch into a new branch. So I'm going to check out a new branch because I want to make a pull request. Upgrade release v1.3.2. So I'm in a new branch from develop. And I'm going to pull in git pull Farajaland release -v1.3.2. Right. So you see I have some conflicts. So there's changes in our code. So I need to now fix all of these conflicts. This is the thing which takes the most time. Merge conflicts in the Docker Compose deploy. Docker Compose deploy. A few changes here. Yes. So you see the difference here is just they've got a period after the subdomain, and we don't.
Yeah.
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 I'm keeping our changes, and it's to do with the subdomains that we have. I think normally we're supposed to have a login.newey.crvs.com, or something like that. But the SSL certificate we've been given doesn't allow second or third level subdomains. So we have to kind of connect everything together, which is why none of our subdomains have a period. So I'm going to accept our subdomains. Next one is package station. Okay, the version's been bumped. I'm going to accept the incoming change to get the new version. We've got some new package versions. So let's see, we don't have .env anymore. That's been removed. Let's just check if we're using that anywhere. We're not using it anywhere, so that's why it's been removed. So I don't think we need it. That's fine. Cypress XPath, again, I don't think we're using this. I think this is a mistake that this is here. We're not using Cypress anywhere. It's only visible in package.json and yarn. There's no imports. We don't need it. So that's fine. New versions of these things. JSON Web Token. Don't need it. Now node mailer we do need. Yeah, you can see that there's an import here. So out of all these changes, the only thing we need is this. So I'm going to copy that line. I'm going to paste it in here. And then I'm going to accept the incoming change to get the updated versions. So I've got new node libraries. So I must remember to run yarn install again to get the new versions. Okay, so that's the package.json conflict fixed. Where was I? Okay, next one is application config default certificate configuration handler. Certificate configuration handler, this one. Okay. So, all right, so there's some fonts that have changed in the country for the certificate. I don't want this because we've got our own fonts that we use, which is Roboto. So I don't need any of this. So I'm going to accept the current change, keep my fonts. Then there's a conflict in client JSON. So there's a new content key, perhaps for a new bug fix. So I'm going to make sure I get that. We don't want the text changes. We just want this new content key. Yeah. So I'm going to take the new content key and I'm going to discard the new stuff by accepting the current change. So there's always going to be a big block of conflicts here because our app has the app in French as well. We don't need French. So we'll always just discard anything French. So I'll just say accept current change. We only have one language in our
Amazing.
app.
So it's French language prominent in you?
And no, this is so. Remember, the incoming change is what's coming from our fake country. So our fake country is a country called Farageland that has French. We don't need any French, so I'm accepting the current change to throw that French language away.
Yeah.
We don't need it. Next one is this dashboard query. So what's changed here? Okay. I don't need any of this. The way that the dashboards work is I've got my I've only got one level in a country state. I don't have two levels. There's only one administrative structure in Niue, so I don't need anything here. I'm just going to accept the current change on these. So you can see, if you wanted to do business intelligence around other things, such as literacy, educational attainment, gender, we're using gender. That's all we care about. So I don't need any of this. This is all being customized by me for Niue. Next one is an email template change. I don't think I'll need any of these because our emails are all working fine. We're all very happy with them. It's probably copy changes. Let me just check, make sure it's not a bug. So that is this file. There is right, it's just a copy change that they want in their email. We don't want it. Accept the current change. These are all the emails, templates that get sent in mothers when they're registering or fathers when they're registering. So that's the email templates updated. This one, source conflicts constants. Let's see what that's asking for. It's incoming change, looking for hostname, login, client app URL. We've already got them, hostname, login, client app URL. I think maybe just they've moved the lines up and down, so I don't want that. Accept current change. And then address fields, we don't want anything there probably. Let me just check what's going on. So yeah, everything, when you're learning about how to configure address fields, you know that you can change anything after this line to add as many different inputs as you want for addresses. We don't need all this complicated address structure. And we've got our address structure already done, so I'm just going to accept the current change. Then there's another conflict here. Again, in addresses, probably don't need this. Yeah, you can see in Farageland, there's 2 admin levels. We've only got 1, but the type has changed from number to administrative level. I think I'll keep that type because having better types is nicer. So I'll accept the current change, save it, make sure I don't have any errors here, and that's fine. Okay. Then I'll got a conflict in the birth form. I probably don't need any of this because our birth form is already done. I am not going to accept any changes on this form. I don't know what they are, but our new A form works fine. We've got no complaints from the client, no request for any changes. Perhaps in our example country, we've done some new things. So I'm just going to accept the state of my current form and don't bring anything in unless there's a bug that I know of that I'm trying to fix that's been fixed by the core team. So I'm accepting the current change on everything in the form. So the yarn lock conflicts we can resolve just by running yarn install. But I just want to show you something. There we go. If I just copy that and search for it, I can just check to make sure, are there any other conflicts I've missed? Yes, there are. So I've also got a conflict in this package JSON here, here, and here. So for some reason I missed these. So I'm just going to go back and check. Okay. So there's this change that we need. So the caret's been added and we .m's been removed from the dependencies block. I didn't check, I didn't scroll down. I think that was the problem. I should have scrolled down and checked the rest of the file. I didn't do it. So that's why I missed these. So I think I'm going to accept incoming change on that. Next one, we need node mailer. Maybe none of this stuff is used anymore. Let me check the differences. Are we using it? No. Are we using this? No. I don't think we're using any of this stuff. It must just have been some stale libraries that are not required. This is the only library that we definitely do need. So I'll take that, put it into the new block and accept the incoming change. Finally, right, some application settings are different. We obviously want to keep our application settings because we don't ask the informant for a signature. or we do ask. I think by default they don't. And our default for field agent audit is the top level admin. I go through all of this in the documentation, what these all mean. The only difference here is just the order of things. So I'm just going to accept the current change. It's just the lines are in a different order. That's it. So now the conflicts are all finished apart from yarn lock. And if I just run yarn again, then we'll install all the new packages. And that will fix any conflict in yarn lock automatically. So whenever you see a conflict here, just run yarn and it'll fix it. That's done. If I search for that now, there's no more conflicts. All the conflicts are fixed. So I'm now I've got core running. I'm now going to run yarn dev in my new repository, and it should now start up, which it does. So when you see content like that, you know everything is started. So so let's take a look at the app. So localhost 3000. I probably need to just clear my browser cache from old versions of. I've always got OpenCRVS running. So in my local database, I do not have the NUA data for my test NUA users. So I need to clear my local database and reseed it. So I can run yarn db clear all, and all the data in my local database will get deleted. And then I'll run yarn seed deb, and that will seed the database with the test data and all the NUA villages and NUA administrative structure from my NUA country config folder. So I'll just log in with the test password, 6 zeros, two-factor authentication code, and just make sure that everything renders. Perfect. So, you could do a bit of a sanity test, seeing as we've done some changes. I'll just create a kind of fake date of birth, a fake birth. Make sure it all submits okay. So that's all fine. Everything looks good. So I can now push these commits up to my remote. So I'm going to quit the NUI repo and push them. Conflicts fixed on release v1.3.2. Push. I now have a open pull request. So I'm going to open that to merge this into development. I'm just going to wait for this check to complete. Maybe a lot of the conflicts I've been fixing are because I have experience in configuring OpenCRVS for. If you had done the configuration, you'd have probably understood all the conflicts I was fixing. And that's why, as part of the implementation training, you will be having to do your own country configuration. So you'll be doing from scratch an entirely new fake country. and
Yeah.
that'll take
Yeah.
several weeks to go through. And by doing that, you'll understand all of the conflicts I've fixed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Makes total sense to me.
I'm going to merge that in. The code is now merged into develop, and we can now deploy this to quality assurance. So we have a QA environment. In order to access the QA environment, we have to connect to the VPN. I'm not going to put it on screen because it's got my password in case I forget to edit this bit out. And now I can browse to their website, their quality assurance website. Okay. So I've got the new QA website up and running. And before I test this new version, I'm going to test a backup. I'm going to restore a backup. Wonderful. So I can just take a look. Looks like all the data is restored very nicely. When I merged in this pull request, do you see I've got a green tick and the publish to Docker Hub image worked. So we've got a new image on Docker for this release fix. And if I go in here, I can get that tag. So that's the tag of the release. Sorry, tag of this commit. That's the tag of this commit.
Yep.
So I'm going to copy that tag. I'm now going to deploy this version to QA. Deploy QA. And the core version I'm now going to deploy is 1.3.2.
Yep.
Okay, and our new image.
I was able to deploy to QA, and I am now going to test the upgrade. So I'm going to log in. Yeah, it's working. So I've now logged in as a registrar. I'm running the latest 1.3.2 release, and data is still there, so everything is fine. So I'm now ready to publish the release. So the first thing to do is merge this code into master. So I'm going to be merging this is going to be master as a base branch, and this branch is going to be the upgrade branch, like so. So I'm merging in my latest changes into master. So now master branch is up to date with the develop branch, and I can now publish a release from the master branch. Okay. So I need to approve it. So this is now pushed. That's the tag. So we can use that tag to deploy again to QA, just to make sure that nothing goes wrong with the merge to master. It shouldn't. It should be exactly the same. but I just want to do another deployment to QA with this release version. So I've got actions, deploy to QA, OpenCRVS -UA v1.3.2. So I'll now just deploy this to QA and just make sure that everything looks okay again before deploying to production. Okay, so the release version has now deployed to QA. So I'm going to log in again and check that. Okay, everything looks fine with this hash, this tag, actions, deploy production. One thing I forgot to mention is that when we are deploying to production, you get an issue that you have to approve. So I need to approve that. So I'm now going to test logging into production as Nick Williams. Wrong password. This is it. Okay, when I logged in, it was still saying OpenCRVS v1.3.1 at the bottom. You need to quit Chrome and restart Chrome and then clear your cache, and then you'll get the latest version. Okay, so hopefully that gave you a good impression of what it's like to upgrade OpenCRVS. Sorry for the sound quality towards the end again, but hopefully that it's kind of clear what was happening. You probably saw that I cut out a lot of boring parts where I'm fixing a lot of conflicts or waiting for GitHub Actions to run. One thing which you didn't see in the video is that I didn't log into Kibana to check migrations. In this particular upgrade, there were no new migrations, so I didn't need to. But if there are migrations, yeah, that's something which you should do. You should log into Kibana, go to observability logs, search for tag migration, and check all the migrations run. So thank you for your time. Please let us know if you have issues upgrading any version of OpenCRVS. We're here to help, and gladly we will help you, give you advice if you need it when you're doing this for real. Thank you.